look, I'm going to start off here. I apologize for absolutely nothing that I said. My point stands. I'm sick to my stomach. Like, I don't like, I feel like, I feel like, Kenny Atkinson just ended up, stealing a bunch of items with a counterfeit bill, in my store. And so the fact that he got away with this crime is upsetting, but at least he gets his stupid revenge for his big tirade about the free throws. But if you're joining us here, the Miami Heat, they lose tonight 130 to 116. It was they looked very much on their way to having this game in hand. They took a 14-point lead in the third quarter, and you were feeling pretty good about where things were standing with the Miami Heat. You were rolling. I think it got to the score was 92-78. 5 minutes left in the third quarter. And that was the Heat's biggest lead of the game. And it felt great. Norman Powell was cooking. He was super efficient on the night. And you're like, here we go. Heat are about to put this puppy home and take care of business. Dean Wade hits a couple of back-to-back threes, and just like all hell breaks loose for the Miami Heat. They go on to allow Cleveland to get back into the game at the end of the third quarter. They cut the lead back to 4, so Heat, just extend their lead at halftime by a point. And then they get to the fourth quarter and forget about it. The Miami Heat just completely the bed against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Credit to them. Big time buckets made by them. Their entire crew. First of all, the Heat basically Drew Smith foul machine early on. Nico, good. Bad Nikola Jović today. I will tell you this though. Can I just say on a one Nico rant? I'm getting a lot of people who are hitting me up and being like, enough of the Nico stuff, enough of the Jović, dude. Listen, man. Nico played a game today. Okay, I'll wear it. I'm not gonna sit here and defend the guy for playing a bad game. I'm not going to do this thing every time that Nico has a bad game that I'm the representative for all things Nikola Jović, because I'll say when he plays like crap. But can we not act like he just didn't win the game? Like, can we get something? Like, the dude just put a dime pass to Andrew Wiggins to go win a game for the Heat. Can we calm down a little bit? So the Miami Heat, they lose this game today, 130, 116, excuse me. Little baby, I actually don't have that much liquor left, but a little frustration sip. We're not going to go depressed tonight because, like, look, overall, the Miami Heat are 7-5. They now go to New York this weekend for an NBA Cup game, and they got a couple of games against the Knicks. Is this unbelievably frustrating? Of course it is. It was a great opportunity for the Miami Heat to bolster their record a little bit, especially in the face of the Cavs, laying down their stars for a couple of games. So there's no excuse for it. It's a complete botch job, blown opportunity by the team, which is, still a young team, still a new team that's had some good surprising moments. The Cavaliers' zone defense really slowed up the Heat. The Heat also then were kicking the ball left and right. Turnovers, I believe, was a season high tonight, 21. Jaime Jaquez Jr., no bueno. He was bad, 4 of 15 today. Missing a lot of those shots that he had at the rim, just couldn't get any of them to drop. So, a guy, especially with no Bam Adebayo, no Tyler Hero, Jaime has been an unbelievable catalyst for offense for this team, especially off that bench unit. And it just wasn't there for him today. He was rough. Nico, 4 turnovers in just 22 minutes to be second on the team in turnovers, only to Andrew Wiggins, who also, when he gets into these propensities to turn the ball over a lot, led to a lot of offense. So that was a tough look. And yeah, it's a disappointing one. I mean, it's a disappointing one on the retrospective. Like you had a chance to keep it going unbeaten at home, and instead you wilted. And especially in the fourth quarter, was an atrocious watch for the Miami Heat. If we just look at the fourth alone, Miami was outscored 37-19. Miami in the fourth quarter had given up 18 had given up 8 points off of turnovers. And then the big thing was the free throws. Because Miami got into such foul trouble early, Cleveland, you couldn't muster any comeback because every foul they were going right to the line. And so and it wasn't even like these were earned fouls. It was like, you get like, and so all these ticky-tack stuff led to them getting 13 free throws and just really neutered any chance of Miami making a comeback. And so, Jared Allen was strong and was able to kind of just run roughshod. Friggin' Thomas Bryant even came in there, had a big putback. Yeah. Blech. I mean, just a hard one to stomach. It really is. And yeah, it does bother me that I understand what I said with being annoyed that the Cavaliers would decide to, basically hold back their stars, and you're not able to put the dagger in a game that you felt very much in control. Like the Heat felt, they had a good lead after the first quarter. Cleveland made a nice comeback. You're like, all right, they're going to make a comeback. These are professionals. These are pride. But it really did feel like between Norman Powell and Kel'el Ware, who did play very good tonight, Kel'el, it felt very much like between those two, it's like, yeah, they took control of the game. And the bench unit, which has been so good for Miami, really, I mean, like outside of some Fontecchio flair, like really just wasn't. Drew was fouling too much. Nico looked like he was playing with a chicken with his head cut off. Jaime, not reliable off the bench. So that bench unit, which has been so strong for Miami, it wilted. And then when the starters and when you went back to Norman Kel'el, it kind of had felt like things had already spun out of control. They couldn't take care of the basketball. Yeah, just an awful one. And this is I'm gonna be interested to see how Miami responds to this on Friday on the road, because they've been a very good home team. They haven't been like this outstanding road team yet. They're gonna go to Tobin for an NBA Cup game. And so I am curious to see how Miami bounces back for sure, because I think they bounced back well off the Bam injury, and they had the first good game. Without they did get to take on the Hornets. This is a little bit of a challenge, and now you got another heavyweight fight coming up. So it's going to be an interesting test for Miami. But yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm not going to apologize because here's the thing. Like, I felt how I felt. People are going to be like, I had this, this jackass who I do the show with, who I love. But he's like, why don't you want to just take care of your business? Just take care of your business. It's like, all right, whatever, dude. Like, why and why not both? Why can't I be annoyed by one thing, but also, yes, hope my team, goes out there and takes care of business? It can be both for me. But if anybody wants to call me a jinx or a mush or whatever, fine. I don't give a rat's ass, dude. You know how many times you think I sit here in my garage with my annoying cat at my feet, and I don't deal with all of the ramifications in my own head already? I know. All right? I know I look a fool. I know. They made me look a fool. I looked really good up until 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and then I don't know what the hell happened. What the hell happened? Everybody forgot to hold on to the basketball. I feel, and that's the thing that I'm annoyed about, is like, people just give Cleveland their credit. It's like, all right, I'll give them a little bit of credit, but also, Jesus, did the Heat play like dog shit? I mean, like they played so bad. Wade hit those couple of threes, and it just like it all unraveled on Miami. It was a weird thing. There was another one. There was this moment where it was like Dean Wade hit a couple of back-to-backs. He had those back-to-back threes, so he cut it to 8. And then the Cavs score, and then Porter Jr. did the Drew Smith to Drew Smith, which you knew Drew Smith was like, whoa, Drew Smith never gets Drew Smith. So Drew Smith got Drew Smith. So they stole it, got a bucket right back, and then Fontecchio comes, offensive foul. And so all of a sudden, this 14-point lead is, boom, down to 6 in like a second. Then Smith tries to get it back, and he gets tied up with Hunter. Hunter wins the tip, ends up in a bucket. Now it's down to 4. Fontecchio hits a 3, gets answered right back, so no change there. And then Nico, plays absolute patty cake with the basketball, and the Miami Heat, woof. I mean, it just went all sideways there, and just crazy. So I mean, that really was. I thought that was Cavs induced. I'll give them credit for the end of that third quarter, but yeah, I just felt like Miami gave no resistance on defense or taking care of the basketball going into the fourth. So yeah, it's a frustrating one for sure. I'm not gonna mince words. I'm annoyed, but and also like, look, the thing that's disappointing about it as for the Heat is like, yes, they are also still a young team. They got a lot of young guys in Nico, and Ware played really well tonight. I like the game from Kalel. Pella and Jaime, these aren't guys who are like established all-stars and veterans. Norm had a really great game. He kind of came in as the wheels were falling off. And just he didn't have any magic to kind of bring it back for Miami. Neither did Andrew Wiggins. But it's still also a team. Like, they didn't. The fact that the Heat have been this good at home without Bam Adebayo, I think, has shown a lot of impressive stuff. So I'm not losing my mind over this either. Like, I'm gonna have an appropriate reaction to this. I'm annoyed I look like a fool. I'm very annoyed Kenny Atkinson got away with this. But I'm also going to have the proper perspective of, okay, young team, had an inconsistent performance. They don't have their full deck. They don't have their guys. I know that the Cavs didn't either, but, there are going to be some learning curves and growing pains. I hope that the thing that I'm hopeful for now with Miami is that this does not snowball. I hope that, a 7-4 that becomes a 7-5. I hope this doesn't all of a sudden go to 2 Knicks losses and you're back to 500. Like, I want to see Miami come back here. You got this series coming up, the home and home with the Knicks, and then of course a Warriors team that's going through it right now. So, I'd like to see Miami pick it up, go 2-1 over these next 3, and get themselves in a much better spot. But objectively annoying. I'm not going to run from it. I'm sure I'll get the plenty. I'm dreading tomorrow's radio show. So I would imagine if you want to hear some verbal sparring, I would tune in, because he's going to try and give me this tongue lashing, and I'm going to be like, I'm not hearing this. I'm not apologizing for what I said, Leroy. I'm not apologizing for what I said. So just so we're clear, I hope I'm laying down the ground. Like, he already's like, texting me, he goes, "Good job, Mush," and it's very annoying. He's like, "Way to go, Mush." I just text him back, "Shut up." Not in the mood. I'm not in the mood, Leroy. I'm not in the mood today, dude. Okay, I'm not in the mood. You love it so much. You and Jay Crawford and Kenny Atkinson, go to a Panera Bread, have yourself a bread bowl together. Okay, share a soup and sandwich. And have a Cleveland love fest for all I care. Okay, I'm not here for it, dude.